Hey, what's up guys? My name is Moda and welcome back to the Mining Stacker YouTube channel. Today's video, gonna do our monthly ASIC pricing update. This is gonna be for August 2023. Gonna go through the trends, gonna go through the price action, gonna go through some profitability numbers and kind of see where we're going, right? And just as a quick heads up, prices have been up quite significantly, right? So we're gonna compare it to last month. We're gonna look at all the popular miners, see where they're at and see why they increased and where they're going, right? So if that sounds good, guys, stay tuned. All right, so let's get to it. So let's start off with the price action, right? So the price action in reality dictates the price of the miners, right? As we go up, prices of the miners go up. If we get a sustained downtrend, right? A lot of times what we've noticed is that just because we go down doesn't mean the prices will go down immediately, right? It usually takes sustained downward pressure and then prices will slowly drop, right? So overall, we have been going down, right? We're currently BTC's at 27. Last month, we were right at like 30 and change, right? Ultimately, we've been going down. We did have that bullish action from all that ETF news, and we had been hovering, right? We've been pretty much staying in line in that range. But ultimately, finally, we started going down, and hopefully we stay down, right? Hopefully we stay down, maybe go down a little bit more. Why? Because we want cheap prices. We want cheap coins, cheap hardware, right? This has been a big thing for me is like, I don't know, people are getting down in the dumps. Oh man, it's all down. Should be getting excited, right? This is the time to execute those plans, look at your price points, look at different things and go from there, right? Last month, I was kind of giving you guys the heads up like, hey, look at the dominance, look at BTC dominance, look at BTC's price, look at the alt prices. Right? BTC goes down a little bit, they're going to get hit hard because a lot of them are already pretty low. We're starting to see this already, right? So if we look at AVAX's chart, and again, this is pretty much going to be the truth with the top 50 alts, right? This isn't just AVAX only, it's pretty much any of these guys. They're pretty close to the yearly lows, right? So AVAX, for example, is currently at $11.28. Their last big dump, they went down to 11 and change, 11.50. That was when the ASIC came out with a list of possible securities. This was one of them, so it got hit hard there. And then we got to go all the way back to December for it to be under 10 bucks, right? So even when below those November lows after all the FTX stuff, so it's currently in that range, right? So BTC has gone down, but it could still go down more, meaning these guys can get hit even harder, right? If there's any alts you've been eyeing, right now is the time you want to set different price points. Good practice is to look at the previous lows, right? Where did you buy it last? Not even just the lows, but where did you buy it last, right? So like for me, for example, I bought a good chunk back here and back here, right? So ideally, realistically, I'm looking for lower prices. Am I going to nibble here though? Yes, it's a good DCA time, right? But ideally for me to like buy more, I'm waiting for better prices, right? Will it happen? Maybe, maybe not. Right? You also got to be ready for the fact that it may not happen. We might get some bullish news tomorrow, which we are actually supposed to get news tomorrow. We're supposed to get a possible take on that lawsuit with what was it, DCG? Somebody, one of their ETFs, I forget who. But just keep that in mind, right? It's not guaranteed that we're going to continue to go down. Anything can happen, but these are the times that you want to look at it, right? And ideally, it'd be nice to get some sustained downward pressure just so we can get these prices down, right? Prices of the hardware, everything else to go down. So we want that cheap stuff, right? Again, what I talked about last month is we've been pretty much up only this whole year. We are definitely due for either downward action or even just sideways action, right? Again, time will tell on that front, but it's good to look at these trends, narrow down the coins you want. You can consolidate, especially as of a few weeks ago, back when coins were super high. That was a good time to like exit positions, get some money on the side in preparation for these things, right? And a lot of you guys hate taking profits, but I had just talked about in the GPU mining video that I was taking profits and it paid off, right? Good example was like Dynex. Sold at a little over $1 because at that point I was already at a 10x, and this isn't a long-term hold for me. So sold all of it. I can rebuy at a much cheaper price. I can buy more coins, or I can put that money into another coin that I think is going to do another 10x from here, right? So for me, I'm eyeing more of the bigger caps, right? A lot of those altcoins that I want to accrue more of, that's where my focus will be at. Although if there is more significant dips, I will definitely jump back in also, but Keep in mind, right? Look at it as opportunity instead of being down in the dumps. Oh, profitability's down. Opportunity, guys. And that's what I harped on in the last one. I'm going to continue to harp on. Set up your plan. Take advantage of these opportunities, right? Because again, in 12 to 18 months from now, don't look back. Don't be that guy who's looking back at regret, right? Take advantage of these opportunities if you think it's an opportune time, right? You have to establish your game plan, where you think the market's going and what you think is going to happen, right? That way, take some advice here, look at the bears, look at the bulls, establish your game plan, right? Everybody's going to have an opinion. In reality, there's no best way to do this. It's only your way to do this, right? So do your research, look at different opinions. Don't get stuck in that bubble. Don't get stuck in only watching one channel that's confirming what you're thinking. Look at everything, right? This is that step, like zoom out. Like most of the content I view is in mining. I'm big into miners. I'm big into mining. I do watch certain people, but for the most part, it's like other things. Like I'm all over the market. I'm into like everything, even NFTs. Like I'm all over the place, right? So I kind of do have different insight on different things, right? So just keep that in mind. Keep in mind, typically September, especially on a pre-election year, is not a good month, right? So factor those kinds of things in. Look at historical prices, and that's why it helps to narrow down the coins you're into, because you can get in tune with those coins and what the trends are with those coins. Like I was just talking about, some of you guys were asking what coins I was looking at. One of them was Flux, right? I'm big into Flux, but I have never mined it. I only buy it. Why? It's easy to predict where the price is going because there's so much sell pressure. You guys love mining it at a loss, and it's beautiful for people like me who like to stack on these dips, right? Like I was mentioning it, I'm waiting for it to go below 30. Some of you guys were saying, oh, I don't think it's going to go that low. We're at 33 cents already in the day. So just keep that in mind. But I mean, you start seeing those things when you follow a small group of coins, right? It's hard to keep track. That's why it helps to narrow down the ones you're into, because then it becomes easier to spot those trends, right? It's easy to see, okay, something bullish is happening. It's like the whole buy the rumor, sell the news thing. You can do that all day with these things, right? And just accumulate more. Okay, so just keep that in mind, guys. Make your plans. Make your plans. All right, so let's get to it. Let's look at the overall profitability. The biggest changes are those Caspa ASICs, right? And we knew it was going to happen. It's not a surprise, not a shocker. We know because the freaking difficulty is continuing to go, right? It's currently, Caspa's at like 10 petahash now. So it's pretty high. Realistically, that's kind of higher than what I thought Ice River was going to produce. That we're only going to get maybe 5 to 6 petahash from Ice River, and then everything else coming from bitmain, but they did produce actually a good amount of units, right? And there's still more to come. I know they've been having shipping issues and such, but it's like, in reality, what did you guys expect? It's a small company. A lot of people feeling the FOMO, watching all these YouTube videos, and what do you think was going to happen, right? For those of you guys who got in late, I don't understand why you guys are surprised, so shocked. I mean, this was going to happen, right? The big thing here was to get in early. For those of you guys who did, even if you got in a little bit late, even if you got in like last month, 4 or 6 weeks ago, still made in time, right? Everybody who's, I won't say complaining, but they're essentially complaining now about it being late, or it's a week late. Be happy that you're even getting it all. This is a small unknown manufacturer creating a $700 ASIC that's still, even right now, people are complaining about it, still making $6 a day. It only uses 65 watts. It's crazy. Even if it goes down to like $1.50 a day, that's excellent, guys. I know a lot of people, it's blowing my mind that everybody's complaining so much about, oh, profitability is so down, it's not worth it. It's still profitable, right? Is it going to be always profitable? Who knows? Who knows how many bitmain ASICs are going to release and where Casper price is going, but ultimately it's been good, right? Casper's been holding up. There's been a lot of mainstream attention, which is kind of weird, from a lot of like trading channels all over the place, right? So a lot of hype, and that's going to help sustain the price, right? A lot of us were thinking that, oh man, the price is probably going to go down to like a penny again. But because of all that interest, that's what's keeping the price afloat, right? Unfortunately, a lot of those guys who are coming in now because of that, they're going to be the exit liquidity for when all these guys dump. Don't be surprised to see that happen. There's a lot of wallets with millions and millions of coins. I know everybody was focused on the daily emission. Like, oh, it's not that bad. They're not going to dump daily. They're going to look for those opportune times. And you're going to see crazy sell pressure, right? Is it going to happen now, or is it going to happen once those guys with the KS3s accrue for a little bit? Who knows? But It's been looking good because it got so much interest, right? So that's really keeping things afloat. Like, it is staying way higher than I thought. Even right now, with a lot of alts getting wrecked, it's still holding up fairly well. It's right under 4 cents, right? Which is not bad at all, okay? So keep that in mind. A lot of people are disappointed, but it is what it is, right? Am I still looking at one? Not the zero, right? If anything, I'd be looking at a KS2 or a KS3L if there's more price drops. Although, big news did drop that it looks like they may not be producing any more units after like August, after like a week from now, right? It's kind of weird, right? But so who knows if we get another dip. My prediction was that maybe next month we'll get another price drop right before the bitmains really release, and to really hurt bitmain in their price, right? Because at that point, if the KS3L dropped down to like 10K or something, that would really force bitmain to have to lower their price, or nobody would be buying those things, which it seems like nobody's really buying them anyway. But those who get in that first batch, and supposedly there's going to be a batch here in a few weeks, going to be making out very well. Just like a lot of you guys who got your KS3Ls already, making out super well, right? The other one that got hit hard were the L7s, right? And it's because of that Litecoin halving. So profitability is now down to like $5, right? Which it got hit harder than most of us were kind of thinking. I didn't really look into it much because the L7's not really one on my radar. If anything, it'd be if there's a next gen version. So I didn't really confirm. I was kind of taking people's word for it. They're saying, oh, it's only going to be maybe 10% difference. Got hit pretty good. Right, so keep that in mind, guys. If you are thinking of getting one, do your research, run your own numbers. Don't just take other people's word for it, like, oh yeah, this guy said this, and then they're blaming it on that person. No, you are the one buying it. You run your numbers, take their input, take their opinion, but you run your numbers, you run your calculations, you run where you think the trends are going, right? At the end of the day, you're responsible for you. Like, I know a lot of people are also blaming, all this Ice River stuff on the KS0. Oh, hey, everybody said the profit wouldn't go down. You're taking that risk, right? You got to run your own numbers, guys. You got to take accountability for that, right? For the most part, most of the other ones are relatively the same. There's not a whole lot of variance there. So let's get into some of the prices now, right? So we'll start with the X16Q, which ultimately did go down a little bit. Right, depends on the website. BT miners, it did go up. Actually, they have up to like 3,500. It was like at 28 and change. The big thing here, though, the reason I'm highlighting it is look at the delivery date. Okay, and this is pretty much across the board for most of them. If you order now, it's not going to be till October. And even some of you guys who pre-ordered a while back, you still haven't gotten yours, which kind of sucks because we're seeing all these promo videos of unboxings and all this stuff. People get them for free. Yet there's people who pre-ordered months ago and still haven't gotten theirs, right? So kind of a crappy move there. I don't know if they had any manufacturing issues or they're just selling that many, right? I don't know what's going on there, but just keep in mind, if you are interested, you order, look at that delivery window, right? Just not till October, which again, the rest of this month is crappy and September's crappy. Just keep in mind that you're locking yourself in at that price, right? So something to think about if you pre-order there. So let's look at the first one that has gone up. That's the E9 Pro, right? Last month when we did this, it just had a recent price drop and went down to $17.99, right? So same model now is $21.84. And again, it's just because we had that upwards price action that sustained, right? So pretty much everything went up. This guy went up about 20%, right? So that guy went up. We'll go to the next one. This is the curious case because this one had a huge price reduction, right? And we pretty much said it was going to happen most likely last month. Last month it was still at that $4,700 price mark, but we were referencing the Cadena price that just happened weeks before, where that one had a restock and they cut it in half. Same thing here, right? So it finally did happen. I did do a video on it the day after it happened, but here we are, right? So it's now down to $2,500, right? So pretty significant. And again, this is why it's important to look at the trends, right? Even if it's not the miner you're looking at, it's good to look at the whole overall market because then we can see what's going to happen, right? So when we saw this with the KA3, light bulb should have been flashing like, oh man, they're probably going to do the same exact thing here. And a month later, they did the exact same thing. So that's why if you're looking at it, you want to pay attention to these trends, pay attention to what's going on because it'll impact you if you're interested, right? Again, these ASIC prices are volatile, man, and you can get wrecked real easy, right? Like this would have sucked if you would have bought it last month at that $4,800 price just for it to go down in half, right? One other thing to take note of, there will be a halving for CKB in November, right? So kind of a tricky play at this point because we're already in mid-August. By the time you get, it'll be September. So you have what? September, October, November. So you only have about 3 months before that halving. And if we stay in this crappy price action, is probably going to be unprofitable, right? We can look real quick, actually. Just another reminder also, when you're taking into account the halving, you're not just having your profitability, right? This is a common mistake I've seen even other big accounts make, is that they just look at the $5, like, okay, halving coming, it's going to be $2.50. It's not bad, it's still profitable. No, guys, you take it away from your yield. This is why I'm always harping on pay attention to your yield, not just the fiat value, right? So what's halving is actually your yield up here, your total income, right? So it's currently $11.32. So it's going to be under $6, and then factor in your electric is $6.75. Okay, so currently, if price stays where it's at, it's going to be at a loss. Okay, and that's not factoring in if we get a hash rate increase because of this reduced price, right? Which typically does happen, just depending on how popular it is. It may not be much, right? Like with Kadena happened last month, the hash rate did tick up a little bit, just slightly, but not much at all, right? Reason being is that it's not too appealing when the thing's making like $1 a day, right? So I know it sucks, but if you think it's a project that is going to do well in the long term, in reality, this is kind of what you want to see, right? Reason being is that because it's not as appealing, not that people are going to buy it, meaning the hash rate's not going to go up, meaning your yield will stay where it's at, right? Ideally, we want to stay break even or profitable and go from there, right? So like with Kadena, the profitability going down, kind of a good thing, right? We don't want to go to the point where we're not breaking even, right? But we'd still have to go down a good chunk for that to happen. But even right now, still making $1 a day, which again, to most people, this is not going to be appealing, right? They are not going to want to get this. So that's kind of what we want to see, because we don't want the hash rate to go up and then hit us, right? Because if the hash rate goes up and the price continues down, that's a horrible combo, right? As a lot of you Caspa miners are learning, right? So just keep that in mind. But the K7 is in that price range now. But again, factor in that halving, guys. The KA3, surprisingly, did go up. But again, this is just because of the overall increase, right? So this guy did go up about 15% last month. The cheaper batch, right, the one farther out, was at 26.80. So it did go up about 15%. Again, it's primarily just because of that overall price trend. But again, if we do sustain this bottom price action for a while, which hopefully we do, again, for the purpose of getting cheaper hardware, then it may go down a bit, right? But just keep in mind what's going on there. This one was a big jump. Okay, last month this guy was under $2,000. It was $19.98. It's currently $2,900, which is actually what most of the other retailers had it at. So this was a 40% increase, right? So just another one. You want to look for those deals. You want to look for opportune times. Probably not a good time to buy. To me, in reality, it's $2,000 should have been the MSRP, just because it's not very profitable, right? Let's go to the next one. This is a crazy one, right? So this one has gone up dramatically. Something interesting. Already last month, the price trend overall was already up. So this is prior to that crazy profitability with BlockX. The trend was already kind of going up. But it's gone up dramatically. The interest has gone up dramatically because of that new coin, right? So if you're not familiar, BlockX was a recent release that was released on the X11 algorithm, meaning you can mine it with your dash miners, right? Any X11 ASIC essentially. So the D9s, the D7s, or in silicons, there's other miners. And the profitability was going through the roof on NiceHash, right? Reason being is people were trying to accrue this coin because you need X amount of coins for nodes. So people were just buying up all the hash rate so they can get it, right? Because it was hard to buy. Wasn't really listed anywhere. Did get recently listed on TXBit, but TXBit is down, which is probably part of the reason that the price action has gone down so much, right? That was one of the few places to actually be able to get it. So that's why people were hoarding all that hash rate, right? They were renting out like crazy. So people were making like 50, 60, 70 bucks a day. It's currently, I'm sure it still is profitable, but probably not as much just because the price action is going down. Although realistically, because TXBit went down, if people are still trying to accrue, that's going to be one of their only sources to be able to accrue it, right? Is by buying up that hash rate and doing it that way, right? So pretty interesting, something you didn't really think about too much, that it's a possibility, right? And it can happen with any miner. But last month the used price was $3,300, guys. Went up to $5,200, and for new, they put it at the MSRP, although it would not pay that much. I think a lot of the other stores have it in like the $5,000 to $6,000 range. A lot of them did sell out of their allocation though, just because of the hype on that. Would I pay that much? No, right? A lot of it's just of the hype because of this coin. Okay, so just keep that in mind. But it's just pretty crazy that that happened, and shout out to all you guys who had one and made that money on NiceHash, and I'm gonna probably continue to, right? Because chances are it's probably gonna go up, because again, that's gonna be one of the few ways to get this coin, just because of this trend going on right now with all the masternodes, right? Which, be careful, by the way. It just seems pretty funny that a lot of these coins all at the same time decided to do masternodes as a good way to like control the price, right? Reason being is that it locks up those coins. Okay, so just think about it, right? Let's go to the next one, and these are others that did go up. These are BTC miners. This guy with the S19J Pro Plus, which is one of the better bangs for the buck, was at 1,500 and change last month, right? So currently at 1,856. This is for the 117 terahash model. So almost about 20%, right? Pretty good increase, and it went up to the point where BT Miners actually does not have the best price out of the ones I recommend, or the ones I purchased from and I use. Ultratech actually beats them out, mainly because BT Miners charges a flat $200 for shipping, which I am not a fan of. They need to fix that. But anyways, it's actually cheaper here now. So something to keep in mind, right? And same story with the XP. XP did go up, right? It was like 30.39 or something, right? 30.89. So it went up about 10%. So again, it is cheaper at Altair Tech currently. It's $31.99. The shipping price is much more reasonable there. So it is going to be cheaper overall from there. But just yet another example of ones that went up. Now, factor in though, right? We did get that news of that S21. And the reason we want to pay attention to it, even if you're not interested in it, even if you think it's going to be out of your price range, it will affect the prices of these guys, right? Depending on not only the price, but the release window, right? If this thing does release soon, if it does release like October, November, it will affect the price of these guys, right? Depending on the price point, like especially if it comes in cheap, which I highly doubt. It will affect it, but if it doesn't release all the way until like March, April, something like that, then probably not going to affect it too much, right? So again, even if you're not too interested in that one, you want to pay attention because it will affect the others, right? Not only the price, but the release window, right? So hopefully we'll find out in the next few weeks, at the latest next month. Realistically, I think they're going to debut the specs and the price probably prior to that, just to start building that hype, right? So again, guys, overall trend is up, right? Pretty much across the board. But again, we got to pay attention to the price action. If we get sustained downward price action, or even if it just stays at this point, expect the prices to go down, right? So we'll see. Again, anything can happen. We can get some crazy news tomorrow and we pump, right? But realistically, looking at the cycles, looking at what I'm basing things off, hopefully we do get this dip between now and next month. Even just staying here, right? It's going to cause the other prices to go down, right? So we'll see what happens. We'll see what news we get, especially if one of these ETFs gets not necessarily fully denied, but delayed, right? That's the big thing, is that realistically, they're not expecting a lot of these to get accepted until end of year, the beginning of next year, right? So just something to keep in mind. Again, there is that lawsuit. We are supposed to get news on it tomorrow, actually, that Grayscale lawsuit. So we'll see what happens there. We may actually get bullish news there, and this might erase all of this, right? So something to keep in mind, and that's a good reason to like DCA at times, right? So for example, right now, not a bad idea to like nibble at these prices, but I'm realistically hoping for lower prices, right? And especially if we stay in this range, then hopefully we get some cheaper ASIC prices, because realistically, I still do want to get one more ASIC, right? Pretty much giving my window all the way up to the end of this year. Hopefully, maybe we get another release for this WDMS. I'm kind of hoping for like a L9. Will we get it? Who knows? My prediction from the get-go was that an announcement there and not releasing until Q1, but like pre-order potential, kind of like what's happening with the S21, right? May just be the S21, maybe that's all we get, who knows, but realistically, the better prices are going to be between now and the end of this year, maybe all the way into Q1, right? Because then after the halving, we know what happens, right? This might be some of the last windows to get real cheap prices. So hopefully things do stay down. We do get some more price reduction so we can get cheap coins and most of all cheap hardware, right? Because this might be starting to wind down, guys. We're only like 8 months from the halving, so this ain't gonna be lasting too much longer. And realistically, especially if you guys are thinking of getting a BTC miner, the time is now, or realistically the time was like back January, right? So you can been mining all this time prior to the halving, because the halving is gonna impact things pretty significantly, right? So again, guys, just wanted to keep you updated on those prices so you can kind of see where the trends are going, see what's happening, especially for those of you guys who are still interested in getting more hardware, because again, this is the time, right? We'll see where the price overall goes. Again, I'm hoping it goes down just to give us more options, right? Just so we'll see where things go. All right, guys, let me know in the comments if you're thinking of getting anything, if you're waiting for stuff, if you're waiting for more announcements, what are you doing, right? Or did you guys just order anything? And a lot of you guys have been buying, so shout out to you guys who are stacking up right now while it's cheap. So again, let me know in the comments, guys. So please comment, like, and subscribe, guys. Thank you for watching, and I am out.